Welcome to the series Middle Game Tips, Tricks, and Techniques and Tactics. This is the second video in this list. Today we'll be looking at Blockade. Last week we looked at Discover Attack. If you haven't seen that video, please do check it out. My name is Bharat Divyang. I'm from Zugzwan Academy. So here's the position in front of you. White to play and win. This is what you would call as late middle game. There's very few pieces left on the chessboard. Black is actually threatening checkmate. If it were black's turn, black would just capture the rook and call it a day. However, it's white's turn, and what can white do? Does he move back the queen, which is under attack, to save the rook, or does he move the rook to save the queen? What can he do? And the idea here is something called blockade. And my focus in this video is not just to show you the answer, because the answer is actually a checkmate in 3 move. White can win the game, close it off then and there. And if you can find it, please do pause the video. And if you'd like to find it, please pause the video. Try it out. Give it about 5 minutes. See if you can figure out the answer. White to move and checkmate in 3. But that's not the idea. See, because the reason why I'm talking about it is, let's assume this is an actual game that you were playing on the board. There's nobody there who's going to stand next to you and say, hey, by the way, this is going to be a checkmate in 3. Not going to happen. So you need to figure it out. When somebody doesn't give you a cue and you still need to figure it out, that's really, really hard. So what is the fail-safe mechanism to do that when somebody is not there to help you out? Somebody's not there to give you a cue. The fail-safe mechanism is you always try to check. You always find the best move. For example, here, I would think about killing the rook, provided that rook were also under attack by something else. For example, if I had my knight here, that's checkmate. Unfortunately, my knight is not there, so I can't do that. But remember, one of the ideas we spoke last week was just test it out. It's a simulation, so run it in your brain. Queen takes rook, king takes. Wow, and that's awesome, because once the king is here, once the king is on f8, it's ripe for the whole position to be a backrank mate. Why? Because the knight is controlling the square. The king can't go anywhere. All you need is a rook, and all that rook will have to do is just give a check. Unfortunately, the rook has 2 problems. It's been blocked by its own knight. It can't move anywhere. And let's say somehow the knight moves away. Even this square, the check is going to be controlled by the knight. And therefore it doesn't work out. So we are in a fix. So queen captures rook, king captures, doesn't work. So is there a way out? Is there something else that can happen? And this is where the Zugzwan framework of CKAD, the auction generation framework, will help, because you think about all possible checks. So this check and this check right now is kind of futile. The knight check here would be awesome if this pawn was not there. You'd end up taking the queen. Not that it's actually a benefit, because you'll be losing your queen as well, but at least there's some kind of parity there. What's the other check? Knight check. We should check that out. What happens here? Why can't I give this? Now imagine for a moment this knight didn't exist. Then this knight check is brilliant, because then the king is forced to go out, and then the queen can take the rook, and it's back rank mate, game over. Unfortunately, the knight is here, and he's going to capture the knight. But now let's put the ideas together. Can something emerge out of this? See, the whole idea of the king being back rank mate is because he's blocked by his own pieces, and this one square was controlled by the knight. So what if we bring his knight here and create a blockade? Is the checkmate possible then? And the answer is yes. So it begins with knight check. If the king moves here, it's checkmate then and there. It's 2 move checkmate. Of course, he's not going to do that, so he's going to capture it. And now you've created the blockade. And with this comes the final check, which is the 3 move check that you need to be doing. Because even though it's a knight, he can't capture the rook. He can't insert himself here. He cannot, block the attack. And for all practical purposes, that knight is a pawn. And therefore, you have created a blockade. And through that blockade, you've been able to create a checkmate out of thin air. Because think about it, if this were a bishop instead of a knight, If this were a bishop, then there's no checkmate because bishop would capture the rook here, right? And it's precisely got to be a knight, and a knight that captures this because he's forced to do it. So I want you to take a step back and think about it and say, okay, look at the beauty of this. Queen sacrifices the rook. The knight first gives a check, but it has to be in order. The knight check is first, then the queen sacrifices. The king is attracted towards f8 thanks to the sacrifice from the queen. The knight is attracted to e7 thanks to the sacrifice by the knight. And therefore, you have ended up creating the perfect recipe for a backrank mate, which the rook gives, and turning the game around completely. So, what can you learn here? How can you apply this in your game? It's the same theme that continues from last week. Simulations of the mind. Try to simulate a sacrifice in your mind. Do not get attached to the material. Sometimes it's okay to let go. In this case, you're actually letting go of two pieces. First the knight, then the queen, and then it's a checkmate. And that's brilliant. And this is the beauty of chess. And I hope you get to see this beauty in the games that you see, and most importantly, in the games that you play. And that's the ultimate thrill of playing chess. And I hope you do enjoy it, just as I have in many, many games. Thank you so much. I hope you liked the video. Please do be on the lookout for the next one next week. Thank you so much. See you again.